I think one of the most arrogant animals on the planet is the horse. I'd have to say that a horse is even more arrogant than a human. This horse has got to be the most arrogant horse I've had. It's got the best bloodlines as well. I'm just wondering whether there's a connection. Aristocracy rules, right? So, imperially bred, this is an imperial horse. Impeccably bred, this is an imperial horse. Absolutely. It's about a month away from being able to be left alone on the tether. It's still not quite there. Some horses learn quick, some don't learn at all. This one's getting there. I've never had one yet that hasn't learned, actually, when I think about it, but I have heard stories. I came into horsemanship late in the game, but I had enough animal husbandry tuition and did courses and things when I was on dairy farms, and worked on dairy farms and livestock, and did a few courses on livestock breeding and all that sort of thing, you know. And at the end of the day, the equine and the bovine are pretty similar. Yeah, so Stutz is learning. She's learning. The penny's dropping. I think if you hopped on the street every day or wherever, just where there's grass, took her out of a paddock and hopped on there every day for a couple of hours, by the end of the week she'd have it down pat. But I just haven't got the time. We've been busy with firewood this year, busy with the SPCA and their false allegations. Frankensteins in progress, that's what they are. It stands for cruelty to animals, SPCA. And yet they can think they can just march in on your property and check your horse without even telling you that they're there. They can't do that. They've got to let you know. It's private property. They just can't go in there because someone rings up and says, oh, I don't think he's feeding his horse. Anyone can say that. You know, there's got to be a bit more to it than that. So we're going to do something about it. So I've baited them, absolutely baited them, and for a very good reason. And we're going to have our day in court. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm not doing it to be a wise guy. I'm doing it so that there's justice. Many a man has neglected an animal on a farm somewhere over time. Sheep can get out through the gate, or a cattle beast can jump the fence, or a horse can jump the fence, and you can't find it, and it's a big farm, and your neighbour brings it to your attention, which I've seen in the past when I've been out docking and feral mustering and that sort of thing. And there's been animals that have been skin and bone, man, dehydrated to the max, and we've brought them in and got them what's the word for it, lifting, recovering, and they can't come in and take them away. They can't. You know, it stresses the animal out more to move it, but that's what they did to my horses, 2 of them, while I was down with COVID. Can you believe it? And the people, the volunteers, moved on. Didn't give a razoo. They were carrot farm workers. We were still under those COVID restrictions of movement and whatever. I can't remember the exact protocol for that for that particular time, but it was around June, July of what year was that? 2021. Yeah, 2021. Nah, man. And me being a 65-year-old, I didn't get COVID as a cough and a headache, which is what it started out as. It went onto my lungs and I couldn't get air. So I had to go, and I was living in high altitude. I thought it was a sinus problem. I never put it down to COVID, and then the penny dropped, and so I went into isolation for 10 days, and I came out with whatever it is that goes, whatever the name is, pneumonia, I think it is. Yeah, something similar. Yeah, I think it is pneumonia. Yeah. Fucking rat bags. Then the cops ring you. Cops are pretty good about it, I must say. They ring and they go, your horses are in need of help. And I was up there straight away. And I went and bought a great big bin of carrots and a great big silage, bale, and unwrapped it in the paddock. That I locked the horses into a small part of that paddock where there was a corner fence and they could get shelter from the wind. And I thought, right, I'll leave them there for a few days and I'll come back and tend to them because I had other things to do. And for a start, that'll do. And I was going to arrange covers and everything for them because they were really down. And I don't like putting covers on animals because their hair follicles destroy the resilience of the follicle. It takes 2 seasons. If you cover a horse, it can't fend for itself in the first season unless you give it heaps and heaps of feed. One feed, we used to say, is a cover. So anyway, to cut to the quick, they were in recovery and the SPCA took them away without notifying me and then charged me cruelty to animals. They're a bunch of fucking wankers and we're going to sort them out because they don't listen to you. You've got a good defence and they don't listen to you. They're wasting money. They're wasting public money. They didn't have to touch those horses. I've got photos of them. I've put them up on Facebook. They haven't got a friggin' clue. Power crazy individuals working behind the doors of do-gooders. And I remember Bob Kerridge, he used to come to our business quite a bit. And we used to supply the Kerridge Odeum theatres, and we had a good relationship with Bob Kerridge. And we thought that he was what the SPCA were doing in Auckland was fantastic. There you go. But not when they bully people. No, they can't do that. They can't bully you. That's what they're doing now. So we're going to get rid of this guy that's working for the SPCA. By hook or by crook, we will get him, as the saying goes. So if he doesn't leave and resign, then we're going to get him tested, if we can, because I think he's got some sort of manic issue or emotional issue. I don't know what his problem is. But there's no way in the world that those charges will stick. And now they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to replace those horses. In other words, that broodmare, she was a 6-time winner. No, her mother was a 6-time winner. She was out of a really good family. I've been stud farm working for the last 30 years. I know about horses. That mare would have produced at least 5 good horses to go to the sales, and any of them could have fetched $1 million on these market tables of today at Karaka. Because that's what we're known for. Our breeding industry more so than anything else. No, man, every dog has his day, as the old saying goes. Hopefully it's not me, because you don't know who's on the bench and what sort of kaleidoscope they have. But one thing is for sure, the law is the law. And the law is that if you're taking care of your animal, they can't take it. There's no cruelty involved. That's all there is to it. As soon as you're notified, you're there. Can't do you, man. Especially when you have gone down with COVID and people have volunteered to look after your horse. Carrot farm workers. Carrots are the best thing for horses. Horses, the Hungarians fed their horses through the winter. No covers on the Hungarian plains. Not one of them got rain scald or anything like that. Sure, the working horses, they brought them in and stabled them, but those wild horses, man, that were roaming Europe. Nah, man. That's not cruelty to animals. They know what animals can fend for themselves. God made them that way. It's when we start interfering with them that they can't interfere with them, defend themselves against the weather by putting covers on them. The only reason man put a cover on a horse was so that he could take the cover off in the morning, give it a light brush and go to work. Otherwise it took him all bloody morning to brush the dirt out. That's the only reason covers were put on horses. Horses and bovine are both the same, very similar, and they don't need covers, and nor do dogs. That's bloody ridiculous. The hair follicles are so strong and so resilient that nature has made them that way. But now these do-gooders come along and they think they friggin' know everything, and they know F.A. I don't see any of the do-gooders going around and picking up, the SPCA, picking up cruelty to humans would be a better one. Picking up the homeless off the street and the homeless children sleeping in the cars. And these bureaucracy rats just can sleep at night and not even worry about them, when it was their doing in the first place as they got there. Rents were never any more than 25% of our of our average man's pay, and whatever was left over was plenty to be able to fend for your family, no matter what inflation did or prices or swings and roundabouts, because there was some statutory protective measures put in place by the governments back in the day that never allowed the rent to escape, never allowed the banks to go and do the stupid things that they're doing. She's getting the hang of it, see? Oh, I like that. She's now keeping her ass clear of the rope. That's what we want to see. Yeah, so this is my next hunting horse anyway. We're going to travel the North and South Islands in this horse. And if we're financial enough, we'll travel the world on her because she's young enough. And we'll do some dressage on her, and we might even go and hop into an arena. I don't know, we'll just see how she is. She's all right. She's not a naturally balanced horse, so to speak, but she's pretty good. Yeah, you got to sit on her for a little bit before you ride her off, so that she balances up underneath you, because she was broken in for racing, and they get going pretty quickly. They don't realise when you break a horse, and to get a horse to be really successful, it's the snail in the hare, the tortoise in the hare, is the metaphorically speaking. Go slow to be quick. So the first few weeks has got to be slow, steady, not rush. Then you can speed them up. But they want to get going and get moving as quick as they can. Bloody ridiculous. In the weaning process, they wean foals at 3 months of age. How fucking ridiculous is that? Nature didn't design the foal to be weaned at 3 months. 6 months minimum. Otherwise they get anxiety issues, and they crib and windsuck. It upsets their digestive system. Keep on feeding the mother if she's in foal, but keep the foal right away from the feed until it's at least 6 months old. We did that on Woodley Stud, and we didn't have any cribbers that year, from out of that foaling season. Not one windsucker or cribber. So worked that one out. It was just, I don't know, animal husbandry. It's like feeding carrots to a horse and winning 54 races for 54 starts. Unbeatable in England and all over Europe. 10 starts as a 2-year-old. That was Hungary. They were the best horsemen in the world, one of the best horsemen in the world. And the war came and wiped all their horses out. There was only 40 horses left in the whole of the Hungarian basin after the war. Can you believe it? And they had to start all over again. They never recovered. Sure, they got one or two, but out of the blue that would, but horse breeding, it takes years of foundation mares backgrounds to be able to develop something like this. This is Cambridge Stud's protege. You know, this is Sir Tristram, Zabeel. Then on the dam side, there's Zamazan, Starway, Sadler's Wells, all great horses. There's Danzig in there. There's a lot of good breeding in this horse. And she's kind of special the way that her pedigree sits on paper. I quite like it, actually. I think I can breed anything out of this mare. I can breed a sprinter or a stayer, or just a good middle distance horse. She's one in a million, as they say. Stutzy, and I'm standing quite a bit above her on higher ground, but she's approximately, you wouldn't believe it, but she's approximately 69 inches in the shoulder. That's just over 17 hands. And Zenyatta was 68, and this one's an inch taller, going by the tape measure. The tape measure is pretty accurate. Look at that. I'm so proud of her. She's mastering the rope, and that's what we want, hey? So you can tie your horse up anywhere, you know, and let it graze while you go and do stuff if you're traveling on horse. You know, as a kid, I used to ride the Rangataik, and the army had released a lot of horses in the Rangitikei area, on the Rangitikei Plains there, and they somehow ended up in the Pohukura and Tarawera flats, and then Sonny Rivers and his crew shot them all out, the dirty bastards, in the 1970s. Yeah, they shot them all out. They should never have done that at all. Those horses were royally bred. They were released by the garrison. The Pony Express used to stop there and change horses in the 1860s when they're delivering mail from Taupo to Napier. Those horses could amble all day long. Beautiful animals, and they went and shot them all, the silly pricks. They should have left them. Culled them, but not shot them all. No. Man is stupid. There was a wildlife boom going on. Possum skins were worth, what were they worth? Possum skins were worth $3 a skin average. Oh no, $2 was the average. That was a lot of money in 1970, 71. Pork was 42 cents a pound on the hook in the chiller, wild pork. Venison was 96 cents for a neck shot, 82 cents for a body shot at the chiller at the Rangataik. They paid you in cash on the spot, or a cheque if you had a ute load, like Joseph Keeley and the Collins brothers one time. When I helped them, they got stuck in the riverbed in the Waipunga, and they had about 14 or 15 deer on the back of it, stacked up and tied together on the back of this HR or HT or HR Holden ute. Dual wheels, they'd welded a wheel on each side. There wasn't a straight panel on it. There was a wild game rush going on, and everybody was going for it. I was 13, 14 years of age, and I skinned a few possums and learned a wee bit. Yeah. So here we are, the other end, 65, and still looking forward to the next ride. Still looking forward to the next hunt. Still looking forward to catching another trout. And still looking forward to quail. I haven't seen any quail around for a while. Dad loved his quail. Dad loved his quail. Yeah. The bird life has diminished in New Zealand. I went for a walk not too long ago. I walked in from Clements Road and came out at where did I come out at? The name escapes me. About 20 mile this side of on the northern side of Turangi. So I came in through Clements Road, and then through the Kaimanawas and Ahini Manawas, Kaimanawas, and came out on the desert road. Yeah, no, not the desert road. No, not the desert road. Came out on the Turangi Napier Road. No, Turangi Taupo Road. And here we go. We've got a visitor. How you going?
Hey, brother.
Is that for sale, is it?
Gonna win the next race.
This one?
Yeah.
I think this one's just quixotically partaking the eternal like the owner. She's 4.
You're a hard man to catch.
You reckon?
Yep.
Well, I ain't been anywhere.
I've been up here about 5 times.
Oh, have you? It's that new car that I got. I can't keep out of it. It's so cheap to run.
Hello, girl. Girl or boy?
A girl.
Oh, yeah. Right?
Her name is Stutz.
Wow. Why don't you just tie her up to the pole there?
Bit early days yet. She's just getting used to the rope. She won't kick you. She's not a dirty horse.
Big tall, bloody tart.
Yeah. She's about 17 hands, 17 and a quarter hands.
Yeah, I've been passed and pulled up at the gate.
Yeah.
Always away, you bugger.
Yeah, oh, is that right? Should have just tooted your horn. I might have been home. But it's
No,
that.
that was last week, you haven't.
Oh, okay. The car's looking good, eh? It's because of the garage, I suppose.
Oh, she's going well, yeah.
Yeah. See that? Come to check you out, eh? Because she knows that.
Sorry? Yeah.
She's come to check you out because she knows that you're a stranger.
Lovely, isn't she?
Yeah, oh yeah. This is one of Sir Patrick Hogan's breed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So has she ever raced?
No. Oh, she's had a couple of trials. And but she was far too young and lanky and tall.
Have you got a settlement over there?
Yeah, I've given her rides. Yeah. We just haven't got enough grazing for her, so I bring her out here. We've got a bit of feed in there. And I'm feeding a fibre grey.
Well, what about that paddock up there?
No, that's it's too close to the railway line.
Yeah,
And saying that, it's not so much that, it's just that there's no real permanent fencing.
no.
And if I put standards up, I can't take the risk, eh, you know.
Yeah, did you leave me a meal?
Yeah, it was
Oh, I
me.
picked it was you.
Was it any good?
Oh, fucking beautiful.
That's good.
But the next day,
Yeah.
I came up with the container and some nuggets. Six
Oh, yeah.
nuggets in a frozen thing to
Can I-
give you, but the fucking place was locked up. So I went back home and then my copper come up, so I put them in a boil up.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So
they
that-
go on.
So that meal that you ate was a genuine Hungarian Plains,
Oh,
what was it called? What do they call it over there?
I
Oh,
hope it didn't come from over there, did it?
Bob Lavish.
Wow.
I didn't even know how to say it in English. Bob Lavish. That's what Mum used to call it anyway.
No, it was beautiful.
So,
And I picked it was you
yeah.
because you left the marks on the front.
Well, I tooted your horn. Nobody was around. I couldn't see the dog. I just thought, oh, well, I'll leave it there and I'll get going.
Yeah, no, I was just downtown getting groceries and came back and I saw it there. It was very nice, man. Well, oh, you'll be about the only bugger that leave me a meal.
Mm.
So anyway, thank you very much.
No worries, man.
I've got the container in there.
It's all right, Len. Oh,
And,
yeah.
I'll give it to you before you
Thanks
go.
very much. Yeah.
I was actually been up once today
Yeah.
there, but came up one day and I was flat out doing wood.
Yeah.
So I just kept out of it.
Yeah, no, we've had 10 cubic metres of wood go through there.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've sold 10 cubic metres of wood, and we've got about 2 left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Is that for you or you they?
no, that's for whomever wants it. You know, they just come and get it.
What is it?
Well, there's gum and a bit of pine.
Oh, yeah.
The gum's been down for a couple of years, so it's good burning, you know.
Yeah, it'll go. It'll go. No, I just had fish and chips tonight and a bottle of beer.
Where'd you get your chips from?
Oh, by the first roundabout.
Oh yeah.
I've always been going there for like quite a few years.
Oh yeah. Hey, I was looking. looking up in the stars last night, and
And you only saw one out here.
no, I'll tell you what I saw. I saw Beetlejuice,
Who's he?
supernova. It's dying. It's dying. You could see it, and I think it's the second biggest one up there.
Well, I was watching one out there
Yeah,
last night, and it wasn't moving. I thought it's a plane
yeah,
going to Auckland. I said, no. And it was bright,
yeah.
and I kept watching and never moved. So I got fed up and I finished. I thought it must be a star, but there was only one out.
Yeah, yeah. It might have been a satellite.
Well, it could have been, but
There's 8,000 of them up there.
wow, is it bright? Are they very bright?
You can see them.
Well, see
And
this bugger. It looked as though he was coming straight for me.
those 8,000 satellites are connected to 16 billion phones on G.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, and you know what they're doing?
No.
They're creating excessive electromagnetic radiation.
Oh, that's too much for me to get.
But what it's doing is it's cooking the fucking muons and the neutrinos and all that sort of thing. It's interfering with it, and that's why we're getting all this bad weather and the weather dumping. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's what I deduct. My father taught me all that shit when we went hunter-gathering as a youngster. And he blamed, what did he say? Something about the stratospheric chamber. Oh, the jet stream, the emissions. He reckons it was damaging the, what do you call it? The stratosphere. Because up, you know, that's because the solar storming showers come through that there and they do what they do, you know. I don't know. I don't understand it all. The old man knew what it was all about.
Yeah, bit out of my reach.
Yeah, look at this, mate. This is training. I'm training her to go on the rope so I can tie her anywhere. We're on a mish. We're going to go and ride when she's strong enough and old enough, because their bodies don't knit properly until they're about 5 or 6.
Yeah, how old is she?
4. So she's got another year and a half to go.
Yeah, you want a bit of fucking land you can go and ride her on.
I know.
Somebody's farm.
What happened to that land that you were leasing?
Oh, I rang the guy because I took Crawford.
Yeah, there's been nothing on it since, eh?
My boy died and
Yeah.
I couldn't handle the whole job
Yeah.
on my own.
There's been nothing on it since, is there?
No, so I rang him and told him
Yeah.
that I'm finishing up Clint. Yeah, no, he said that's good land because he said I've got somebody in the pipeline to buy it.
Well, that's good.
That's not good.
Why?
And nothing's happened since. And it's 2 years since I gave up that land.
Time flies, eh?
And the fucking grass is just high and gone bad and terrible. Yeah. 2 lambing seasons have gone. I sold 30 ewes I had there over to my relation. Now, over the phone we did a deal. He said, I'll give you 150. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that'll do. I knew they were selling well. So when the truck driver picked them up, he didn't say anything to me, but he said to Shane, by Christ, is a nice line of sheep. He said, this is the best line of sheep that I've carted for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, when he saw them run off the truck.
She likes you, bro.
What?
You want to take her home? Give us $500,000 and you can have her.
No, I've got no room for fucking horses. You know what I bought my farm?
What?
My lawyer
Yeah.
said, oh, good, we'll get a bit of grazing land. I said, look, what was his name? He was a nice guy.
Yeah.
I said, no, I can't think of his name. I said, you'd be the last bugger that ever win a horse on my place because they just wreck your fences and they shit everywhere.
Some of them do. You know what that's from? Being weaned too early.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, but I don't have horses.
They crib. They become cribbers because they take them off the mothers too early.
Yeah, he was a racehorse guy. He had racehorses.
Yeah.
I said, no, I wouldn't be putting one horse on. I haven't.
If this horse was in America, I'd get $500,000 for her if I put it through the sales.
Well, why don't you get in contact with somebody over there?
I don't know anybody. I used to years ago. I bought a horse off John F. Jones for $75, and I sold it for $110,000 to the US.
You did?
Yeah, and I was the first person to bid on that horse.
What have you done with your fucking money?
It was the first horse. This is going back 40 years.
Yeah, but what happened to
Well,
you?
What am I? Yeah, I was 25. Listen to this.
Jesus.
Listen to this. I went to. I
Now,
went
this is
to.
not all bullshit, is it?
No, 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 no. I went to it was the first horse and dog sale that I'd been to. I beg your pardon, it was the second. No, the first one was in Natia, and I bought a horse there as well. And so anyway, the horse very similar looking to this, and it belonged to an English couple, but they were same-sex couple, and they'd had an argument, they had a fight, and it was a top bloody equestrian horse, and it was going through the sale, and it had the patch number 17 on its rump, and yet it was the first one up. And I arrived about 5 minutes late, and people at the auction had just begun, and nobody was bidding. And John F. Jones said, "Come on, you lot, wake up! What the hell's wrong with you? This is probably the best horse in the sale." And no one had. And then one person put their hand up, and he went 50, and offered $50. And then I put my hand up, and he said 75. And then people were still, you know, half asleep. And he slammed the hammer down, the mullet down, the gavel down, and says, "Right, sold."
Just 75.
Yeah, because that same
75,000.
the same sex couple had they had a row. One went back to England, and they both owned the horse, so they had such a row. They put it in the sale, no reserve. You know, it was an emotional circumstance, and Bob Jones just went, "Right, sold, next one up," and everybody went, "Oh." And there's a sequel to this. I went and paid for that horse, and I came out to get it, and I couldn't find it. And I looked around, and there was this guy called Chris Glennie, and he was I don't know who he was, but he was a tough-looking bastard, and he was leading my horse. I had the paperwork to it onto a truck.
God, you were lucky.
And I said to him, "What do you think you're doing?"
But that sort of cunts do that over there.
Yeah, he says, "This is my horse. I bought it." I says, "No, you didn't. You lying bloody flea, you know," and all
Weren't
this
you
shit.
frightened of him?
No, why should I be? Why be frightened of him? You know.
No, but what you said is, to me, it was a big bugger.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You know, the power of right, the power of David.
Oh, that way, yeah.
You know, I would have whipped
He
his
could've-
fucking ass, mate. You know, he wouldn't have stood a chance. He was taking what was mine. You know, you would have done the same. Anybody would
Oh,
do the same.
fuck you.
Yeah.
So how did he come to get away with that?
So when he realised that I couldn't be shifted, and I was, you know, assertive, I wouldn't back down. Because he was ready to take off. He backed off, and then I found out that he was known for it.
Yeah, wheeler dealer.
Yeah. So that was my introduction to the horse world, and someone at that sale said to me, "You got to be careful." He said, "Horse people are good. You'll find that some of them can be a little bit shifty, but basically they're a good crew. You've just got to fall in with them, and you're sweet."
So you got to walk out with the fucking horse as he goes out the arena.
But he says you'll find the odd one like Chris,
Yeah.
who's what's the word for it? A bit colourful.
Wow.
You know, and but he I think he was a what do you call it? Pet food operator.
But he could have been charged for that.
Oh, we didn't want to go there. We didn't want to go there. Nah, this man can sort most things out himself. You don't get police involved unless you absolutely have
Anyway,
to.
I sent my sheep off at
Yeah.
home. The truck driver didn't say anything to me. When he got over to Northwood, unloading them, he said to Shane, "You know, this is a lovely line of sheep." He said, "The best line of sheep that
Nice.
I've carted for
Yeah.
a while." He said, "Yeah, they fucking look nice. They were lovely and level and, you know, and clean, and they had that much wool on,
Yeah.
you know."
Yeah.
30 of them jumped off the truck. Anyway, that night, Shane rang me and said, "Liam, how are you?" "Oh, pretty good, mate. You get the sheep?" "Yeah, all right, safe." He said, "I'm going to give you 200.
Oh, nice.
They're in lamb.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, it's up to you." I said, "Nothing wrong with them. A good lot of young sheep there." He said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "Give you 200 and put it in your check tomorrow. In your bank tomorrow."
I did some docking up in the high country, and all those lambs that went through that we docked fetched around 180.
Yeah. Yep.
So the lambs market's still strong.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
It's getting stronger, isn't it?
$200,
Yeah.
yes. The
And
demand for lambs for the last
Yeah.
5 years.
and I worked for Alco, driving the trucks,
Yeah.
delivering the wool bales,
Yeah.
picking up the wool bales,
Yeah.
and I filmed a few of the wool bale. What do you call it? the sharing sheds,
Oh, yeah.
and put them up on YouTube. And I got, because I had an old cobber like yourself. He was Ian Heads from Fielding, and he was a decent sort of a bloke. And I used to take my daughter to Sunday school in Fielding. And I remember I was in between jobs and I was without money, and my car was repossessed. And this is going back 30 years, and I was fucking devastated. And anyway, there was a hot day and I was walking with a little girl to church, to Sunday school. And whilst I was in church, this guy came up to me and he says, "You can't walk your daughter to school, to church on a hot day like that without a bonnet." And he looked at me and he says, "Here's $1,400. Go and buy yourself a little car." Now, I already had $500 saved up. So what I did was I went and bought this Volkswagen Combi. I whipped it up the telephone line to the VW, the milker up there who wheels and deals in Volkswagens. And I sold it to him for $10,500, and I'd paid $1,600 for it, because that's what they were worth. And he gave me a little red Volkswagen to come home in. And on the way back, I stopped at Cambridge to go into the Nash to have a pea pie and pud, because I'd driven all night. And while Jess was at school, and anyway, to cut to the quick, and then during the day, and I bought a Nissan Laurel diesel in a small A-frame, hooked the VW onto the Nissan Laurel diesel, and drove back. And I still had $7,000 in my pocket. And then I went and paid Ian Heads back. He says, "I didn't expect to get it back." His wife had died. He was 55 at the time, and when his wife had passed away. I don't know what age he was, probably about 70 when he offered me that money.
Well?
Didn't know me from a bar of soap.
Oh, what?
And you know what he said to me? He says, "I didn't expect to get it back." I says, "Well, thank you so much. Here's the money." And so anyway, I was working for 20 years later, or 30 years later, I'm working for Alco, wool buyers, and it's a Monday. It's a long weekend. It's 3 years ago. And what did I do? I thought, well, this is up in Ratahi. I said, I'll drop down into the Manawatu for the long weekend and have a look around. And I thought of Ian Heads as I am thinking of you. And then I realised, hang on a minute, that was 20 years ago. If he's still alive, he'll be in a rest home. Well, I tracked him down to the rest home. And the nurse knocks on the door, and she opens the door and says, "Ian, we've got a visitor for you. Will you take a visitor?" And he went, "Yes." And he was sitting in his chair. And when she opened the door, she says, "Do you remember this guy?" And he looked at me. He couldn't remember my name, but guess what he said? "He's the only bugger that ever paid me back."
Yeah, no.
That's what came out of his mouth.
Yeah, you told me once before.
Oh, did I? Yeah. And I felt so bloody embarrassed. I wanted to leave straight
He's the
away.
only bugger who paid me back. Yeah.
So he must have done it for quite a few people in that church.
Yeah.
So anyway, he passed away not too long after that. But I did ask him, what do you do for,
Oh,
he says,
he made his money up too.
This is what he said: "I should never have come here. I should have stayed at home. I would have been better off than go to the rest home."
Yeah.
He said, "I went to the rest home. I was quite capable." He says, "But I went to the rest home for company, because he was used to company." And he says, and what it did was it slowed him right down, because at home he still had to do things, look after his chooks, do this, do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a pity he didn't get a housekeeper or somebody to come in.
Well, they give you home help and stuff like that, don't they?
Yeah, they do. You can get home help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. So he was disappointed about the home.
I beg your pardon?
He was disappointed.
Oh, very much. He says they don't do enough for you. For the money that it costs to be there,
Yeah.
He says they just don't do enough for you. And you know what else I noticed? I bought a bottle of, I thought, what do I take an old fella like that? At 90 years of age, I thought, I'll get him a bottle of aloe vera drink, because I've got stomach problems. And the old lady said to me before she died, your mother never stops being your mother, mate. You'd know that. She said, don't forget to keep up the aloe vera.
Oh, fair enough.
You know how that conversation came about? I hadn't seen her for quite a while, and I rock up to the hospital, wherever she is, and she was in a nasty mood. And I said to her, "Oh, Mum, just to break the silence, to get her out of that mood, those cabbage rolls that you make, sometimes they're better than other times. How come?" And you know what she said to me? "It's over for cabbage rolls."
Fair enough. Yeah.
It's over for cabbage rolls, and didn't go any further. And then she says, and don't forget to keep up Yellow Vera. You know, she passed away the next morning.
Wow.
It's unbelievable, aren't they?
Well,
You know?
my mother was like that. I would have seen her at the home. I was allowed to see it. She said, I won't be here tomorrow. What are you talking about, Mum? Oh, she said, I've cut my hair in here since I've been in.
Yeah.
Only been in it since 3 days. She said, and I didn't like my hair cut right off. I said, well, there's no need for that, was there? Did you put in a complaint? She said, they won't take me notice. But she said, I won't be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And she died that night.
Bloody hell.
About 10 at 9.
Yeah, I remember Mum, you know, she had cancer, brain tumour. And one of our sisters insisted that she have an operation. She didn't want the operation. So she had the operation, and she went through, all the stuff that you do to get your functions back. And she came right again. But I remember seeing her after she came out of the theatre, and she woke up and she realised she was still alive. And she was so angry.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to be here. She'd had enough.
Well, I believe on the news tonight, they can't keep up with the cancerous bloody operations.
Sad,
a lot of them have got to wait.
Do you know what it's from? The excessive electromagnetic radiation.
No, it's
coming off these things.
It's a shortage of nurses.
Look, there's 4.5 billion phones going every second of the day.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about there's no nurses, no doctors. They're all leaving the country.
Oh, I get you.
You know, the surgeons now.
Yeah.
And nurses can't get enough.
Do you know why? The rent's gone sky high. When we were kids, the rent was no more than 25% of the average man's pay.
Mm.
No matter what the inflation was or anything like that, you always had enough to live dignified.
Yeah.
There was no crime, or hardly any crime, because it wasn't necessary. You know, everybody had enough.
That's right.
And so, you know, people could explore. The kids had enough money to be content and explore harmoniously what they wanted to be. And we weren't short of doctors or nurses or engineers or builders, because,
Well, surgeons can't get enough surgeons. They're stressed out.
But now the bureaucratic rats have taken over, bro.
Oh, well.
And, the banks are fleecing us. I remember Dad buying the building.
One fucking bank crashed overseas, isn't there?
3 of them now.
Three now?
Yeah, and one in Switzerland.
Jesus.
One in Switzerland, the Swiss bank.
I wonder, are we safe with money in ours?
Say that again?
Are we safe with the money in ours?
What did you say? Are we safe?
Are we safe with the money that's in our banks?
I would like to think so, yeah. I don't think we're gamblers. New Zealand banks don't gamble.
No, but by Christ,
do they?
Since I ever hear, a bank collapsing in New Zealand,
frightens the shit out of you.
Australians, most of them anyway, I'll be pulling my money out.
Well, it's interesting, Dad told me a story about Germany. The people woke up in the morning and nobody had any money in the bank, and everybody was given $40 to start off again. And they renamed the currency Deutschmark. It used to be called the Reichsmark. So that's just after the Depression, I think. I'm not too sure. I'm just quoting the old man on that one.
Anyway, how's your car going?
Bloody beauty.
What about the white car? What's that sitting there still?
Well, it's a rare car, it's like your car.
Does it go?
Yeah, it goes. It's like your car. It tows the.
You got money coming out your fucking ears.
It tows the caravan. It tows the.
Oh, you haven't got a tow bar on the black one.
No, it's only for running around.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's a good car. A good little car. Cheap as chips. They're not very expensive.
You don't need that bloody kennel up on top of it now.
Yes, I do.
You had another dog.
I got 2 more border collies.
Where are they?
They're in the caravan. They're only pups.
Fuck.
Look at her. She doesn't miss a thing, eh? There's someone up there, see? Unbelievable, mate. This horse is unique. She came over and sussed you out twice. Who's he? Do you know what I mean? I just know her. I'm so intimate with her. You know what I mean? And you see, you've got to remember that the Arabs, that's our forefathers, used to sleep. We used to sleep with our horses. They used to sleep in the tent with us.
Yeah.
They knew our moods. They could feel them off.
Yeah.
And, everything was done off on horseback. And the old story it was, you know, you fed your animals, you got up and you fed your animals, your chooks and your dogs and your pigs and everything before you had breakfast. Then you went to work. And when you got home, you did the same thing before you sat down and had your dinner. I remember Dad getting home from work in
It's
Christchurch.
all right, Morris. He won't eat you. Yeah.
I remember Dad getting home from work in Christchurch, and I was only a young fella, about under 5, and I'd be in the sandpit playing on my comma truck steering wheel. And Dad got home, and he sat down and he had something to eat, and Mum was very nice to him for about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, till he had his cup of tea or whatever, and a little bit of a sort of a whatever.
Yeah.
And she said, right, mister, come on, we've got things to do. The lawn needs to be done. It still hasn't been done. You promised to do it last week, you didn't do it. But then there's wood to be chopped and there's all sorts of things. And I've never seen anyone go for it with one of those scythes like he did, because we owned 26 Cranford Street, Christchurch. We had the section next door, and we had like number 75 over there. You know, there was a shop in front of the house with the house right at the back. And yeah, so that was the name of the game. And he had his own little business up in Rutland Street. And yeah, I remember them going down to the markets in the morning and on a Friday and buying the chooks. You couldn't just rock up to the supermarket and buy whatever you wanted. Hey, do you remember those days?
Yeah. Oh, not buying chooks and things like that. No.
From the markets?
No, I never went to markets. I went to a few sales.
Yeah.
Started going to sales at pretty young. Who is this coming along?
Oh, we never clue. We're still, you know, we've got that good weather now. Hopefully, autumn weather.
No, there's rain coming Friday.
On Friday.
Friday night.
Yeah.
But that, yeah.
For how long?
Oh, it'd be wet over the weekend. Might be nice on Sunday.
Yeah. So what have you been doing to keep busy then if you haven't got your sheep? Or you still got a few there?
Oh, 4. No, I've only got 4.
Yeah.
But I kept back. I didn't want to spoil the line. Well, one was a pet.
What do you say?
Redder is a pet, and a ram, and 2 other sheep. I just made a clean 30. I should have sent the lot, but I didn't, because I really ran out of feeding those buggers. 2 and 2 cattle.
Yeah. So you'd be, what's the word for it? You'd be still rebuilding your tractors and things, keeping yourself busy that way.
Yeah, I've repainted that Fergie I bought.
Oh, yeah.
Completely, and done it up and been using it, doing quite a few jobs for that.
Yeah, I saw one like that for sale, sold. It was a petrol and it sold for 5,000.
Yes, well, this one were 2 pretty rough and gave me a lot of implements.
Oh, okay.
Putting them out on the paddock.
Yeah, this was just the bare tractor. It didn't even have
It had a front end loader and a blade in the back.
Oh, yeah.
And fucking...
Is that the one that you pulled me out with? Remember?
No.
No.
I don't know. Either that or the Massey.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but I've got about 5 or 6 implements that were thrown in.
Yeah.
And I've got them tidied up, ready to sell down and put them out in the paddock.
Yeah.
With 2 trailers as well. I've just got to fix a tail light on one and put a number plate on. I've registered as new. And
gee, the dog's getting a bit grey around the muzzle, eh? Since I've seen him last.
Yeah, he's still pretty healthy though.
What age would he be?
I don't know, 5 or 6.
I had to give that other one away, you know that. Did I tell you? I told you that, eh? He was starting to chase.
Yeah, oh, that's a bit dangerous.
Yeah, but I've got his pups there. I've got 2 of them.
Oh, shit.
And so I've called one Yogi 1 and the other one Yogi 2. And I'm undecided.
They're pretty well trained.
Oh, they're only babies.
Might be tearing your fucking...
No. They're with the mothers in there. They're only 3 weeks old.
So that's 3 dogs in there.
They're only 3 weeks old. They're on the carpet. Do you want to come over and have a look?
No, I won't come tonight. I've got my house unlocked.
Oh, have you? Well, you better get going then. Hey?
Don't worry too
One of the
much
married
about
boys might hop in there and have a feed while you're out.
Fuck all to eat.
Hey?
It's fuck all to eat. No, it's all right. All right, I better bugger off. I just thought I'll give you a container.
Yeah.
It's in the bag there. And
Len, just drop it over there on that
Okay, I'll carry it across there. It's in a bag,
All right.
but I'll catch up with you again.
Okay. Go well.
Righto.
Good girl. I'm all good. Don't worry. Yeah. Hoodoo boo. Good boy. I mean girl. Stutzo. Car sounds good.
Okay. Catch you later, brother.
Okay. Here. Stutz. That was a good chin wag. Well, Stutz, we'll call it a night, eh? Should I ever put this up on YouTube? I may do. It's googlemo.com here. Don't forget to push the like button and subscribe if you had the patience to watch it thus far.